Hey, good morning. I'm Chief Jane Castor, and we have called you all here today to basically bring to light an operation that we've had in place for about a year now, and that's Operation Rainmaker, that deals with tax fraud, basically the prevalence of tax fraud in the Tampa Bay area. First, I would like to introduce and thank everyone who's been involved in this investigation, and I can tell you that it's has been a very long and arduous trip to get to where we're at today. We have the Secret Service, John Joyce, he is the special agent in charge, Sheriff David G. from Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, Barney Morris from the Postal Inspector, and Bobby O'Neill, who is the U.S. State Attorney. Also involved in this is the Pasco County Sheriff's Office, and we've also worked very, very closely with the State Attorney's Office in actually being able to bring charges against some of these individuals. Now, with this tax fraud epidemic, we've heard some people say that, you know, it's not really a crime. It doesn't involve violence and doesn't involve weapons, but certainly what it involves is these individuals taking our hard-earned money out of our pockets. So I want to first discuss, and you can see the magnitude. We basically have just found out about the tip of the iceberg, and some of the assets that we have back here in the form of seized vehicles, jewelry, and then with the postal inspectors we'll talk about in just a minute, the green dot cards or the fraudulent refunds. Now, the way that this scam works is that individuals will get someone's identity. They will either obtain this identity through internet sites that include Ancestry.com, or, as this has morphed along, there are individuals who work in corporations, businesses, that have access to employees' information or patients' information, and they will actually broker that, sell that information to these individuals filing the tax fraud. The tax fraud will be filed, and the individuals will get the money back in the form of what's called green dot cards. Green Dot is a corporation that's been very, very cooperative with us, and they send that money back to the taxpayers, legitimate and otherwise, in the form of a money card. They can also get checks, treasury checks, or direct deposit that we've seen. To date, just to give a little taste of the magnitude of this, to date we have uncovered over $130 million in fraud, and we've made a total of 47 arrests. Now, we don't know the exact amount of fraudulent dollars that are coming into the city of Tampa, but Green Dot did a one-day audit with approximately 2,000 cards coming to the state of Florida, 85% of those coming to the city of Tampa, and those cards had an estimated value of around $15 million. And I doubt that this is only happening in the city of Tampa. The investigations, the way we came across this about a year ago, Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, Tampa Police Department, started receiving reports of identity theft, more so than the usual number that we get. And a great deal of those included tax returns, law-abiding citizens who would go to file their taxes and find out that they had already been filed. Someone had stolen their identity. At the same time, officers out on the street would pull over vehicles where they would find ledgers, they would find multitude of fake IDs, they would find these tax returns in the form of Green Dot, computers, journals, all of this information. And as one of the detectives said, in all of his years of investigation, this particular crime, he estimated close to 90% of the individuals that we stopped would readily admit what they were doing, that they really felt that there was nothing wrong with what they were doing. They also had tutorials where individuals would come and actually be taught how to perpetrate this crime. And then they had what they called filing parties, which were titled Rainmakers. And what that stood for is that the money was raining down on these suspects. It was easy money, it was free money. And these parties would be held in hotel rooms and in residences throughout the Tampa Bay area. One example I'll give you is in the fall of 2010, our narcotics division was doing an investigation, and it led them to a hotel room when they went into the hotel room, they found narcotics. They also found a group of individuals with laptop computers that were filing these fraudulent tax returns. The leader of that group was Terrence Holloway. Now we have, as I said, put together a task force that included all of the agencies that I have described above. Now what makes these investigations so difficult is that the federal tax laws are so restrictive that they are unable to share any tax information with local law enforcement. So it's very, very difficult to investigate these. I equate this to the investigators having to go out and look into these crimes. We're asking them to go out and investigate the crimes basically with a blindfold and their hands tied behind their back. Very, very difficult to investigate these. They find someone that says that their identity has been stolen. They go to the federal agency, the Internal Revenue Service, and ask them about it, and their response is, we cannot share any of that information with you. So it's very difficult to do. And my hat is off to each and every one of these individuals that have toiled over these investigations. Something that we would probably describe as a simple identity theft can take them months and months to do, to investigate in these particular circumstances. And you'll also note that the individuals that we have charged to date are charged with money laundering, credit card fraud, and identity theft. There aren't any tax fraud charges in the list that we will provide for you today. Now, the word out on the street is that this isn't a crime, or at best, it's a victimless crime. And obviously that's not the case, because they're taking our hard-earned money out of our pockets every day. They also think that there's nobody investigating. That was the word on the street. And that if you file for under $10,000, it's not going to get anybody's attention. As a result, the majority of these filings that we have found are for $9,000, $9,500. As I said before, giving classes on how to commit tax fraud, filing parties known as the RAIN parties. And what we're here to tell you today is that law enforcement is investigating these crimes. This is not a victimless crime, and that the only thing that's going to be raining down on these suspects is justice. Now, we do have a little bit of a happy ending. The individual that I described before, Terrence Holloway, one of the search warrants that we executed yesterday was at his residence. And we seized out of that 8 vehicles. 3 individuals were arrested in addition to Terrence Holloway, and we confiscated a mountain of paperwork that will have to be sifted through tediously and tirelessly sifted through to come up with the charges that will be leveled against him in the future. All right, now I want to introduce John Joyce, who is a special agent in charge for the Secret Service.
Thank you, Jane. Good morning, everybody. My name is John Joyce. I'm the special agent in charge of the Secret Service Tampa field office. Let me first start off by thanking my partners here, Chief Sheriff G. Barney Morris from the Postal Inspection Service, Bobby O'Neill from the U.S. Attorney's Office. This small cadre of people you see here are a great example of cooperation and coordination in this investigation, but a host of other financial investigations that you might not be aware of yet, but will be sometime in the future. As the Chief said, this type of crime was identified about a year ago, and everybody up front here put our heads together and had to come up with a way to address this problem in spite of the roadblocks that we had in front of us. This scheme allowed the criminal participants to anonymously access federal government tax refunds through online filing using stolen identities. The scheme is extraordinarily simple, yet it's incredibly lucrative. And the criminal element in this area discovered this early on, and like most bad things, the word spread quickly, and they have basically corrupted the tax filing system online. However, by employing both federal and state judicial systems and sound investigative techniques, the members of our Financial Crimes Task Force have ensured that all offenders that have been identified to date will be brought to justice and will be punished. The Secret Service and the law enforcement professionals you see up here in front of you today have committed their agencies to fully investigating and prosecuting this and other types of financial crimes in the Tampa Bay area. Thank you. Let me introduce Sheriff David G.
Thank you, John. Good morning. Very quickly, I also want to thank all the partners in this investigation. I want to thank also our state attorney Mark Ober and our United States attorney Bobby O'Neill. I think probably neither one can really comment due to ethical boundaries that they have as far as being the assigned prosecutors to these cases. I don't think I can add to the specifics, but I would say that I think that the response from the taxpayer is going to be outrage. I think most of us here would agree that this is probably the tip of the iceberg nationally. I think that the losses will be incredible across the country when we find out. I think that the figures that the chief gave us a few minutes ago, the over $100 million here locally, is probably just a little bit of what we're going to find whenever this really comes to light across the country. And of course, there's going to have to be some process changes immediately. We can't, certainly in this economy, we can't survive that. But anyway, thanks to all the people that are involved. I agree with John Joyce that to be able to come up with innovative ways to prosecute these people locally is good. And if anything, I think this case serves to take the mask off of this issue and bring it to light so we can get some national attention on this and maybe stop this problem where it's occurring. And these checks really, these cards should never be issued fraudulently to begin with, and that would eliminate a lot of it. And with that, I'd give you a person who's been very instrumental in the investigation, a good friend, Barney Morris with the Postal Inspector's Office.